Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, welcome back to AussieVerse. I am OmniBeau, joined by Sharif, and tonight we have a couple of guys on our show that I and Sharif have never actually met, never spoken to before. So this is going to be quite an interesting interview because everybody else that we have had on the show, I've either had some sort of a relationship with, known some sort of answers about their work, but tonight it is a blind gamble. Mak Bros, how you going, guys?
Very good, guys. Thanks for having us.
We are absolutely thrilled that you reached out. Thank you very much. And this goes out to all of the world out there, just like the Mak brothers. If you've got something to show off, collection, work, drawing, art, whatever it is in the pop culture world, hit us up on Instagram at _AussieVerse and come on down to AussieVerse. You can also see all the daily videos at TikTok. You can check us out on Facebook at AussieVerse for life. And our graphic designer is also there at A51_designs. And as normal and always, we are proudly sponsored by Comx. So, Mak boys, Mak brothers, what's going on, guys? Tell the world who you are.
Well, that was a pretty epic intro. Wow, the sound systems really delivered that. That was great. Walk us right up. Would you like to take us away?
Well, I'm Josh Mak, and that's Aaron Mak. We're brand new to the comic industry. We've, been active in other areas, creative areas in terms of music and film, but this is our first foray into comics.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're very excited. Thank you guys for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. What made you decide to leap into comics?
Well, it was kind of a little bit of a happy accident, I guess, because during lockdown there was this desire to have to dive into some kind of new obsession. I kind of went down the rabbit hole of buying comics from online groups and everything, and then and this is probably a great segue into our story, but suddenly I was talking to Josh and we had this idea that there's a story we've been sitting on for years, just developing endlessly. And then we thought, well, what if we do it in the comic format, because I've been reading so much of it, and we thought, yeah, maybe this might actually be possible. So yeah, it was an opportunity to actually do the thing that we've been wanting to do for ages.
Fantastic. So to get into this, because I've got to be honest with you, I have no idea what this Kickstarter is about, right? Which is kind of exciting. Which is kind of exciting, to be honest. So, how about we watch this trailer? Sharif and I have not seen this trailer yet, so maybe this will give us a little bit of a clue as to what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
These are things we say. Everybody, who's somebody. They all want me dead. They all want me dead.
Whoa.
Yeah. The phrase that got me there was narco noir. Yeah.
Nice. I just want to say,
what is it?
Oh, you're head banging. I'm just like, yes, I can just see that head bob, and I'm like, awesome.
That music sucked me in bad. Like, I want to read this book now. Something shocking. That was
especially the part that said, "Let me show you mine," and then things start to change up. That perception where the pavement just breaks away, and you can see all these images in there.
So I'm getting vibes of like Sons of Anarchy, the Matrix with the wording. Something is killing the children. I'm just getting such a mix of established properties there, which is great because I want to know more. Is there anything else you can tell us?
I can tell you some things. It's difficult. I'm trying to think of what to say, but not say too much.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting that the music got you, because the music is actually, I don't know if anyone's done this before. We think it's a first. One thing that's different about comic is that it's, apart from the story and the art, there's a lot of interactive element. In our issue 1, there's going to be QR codes inside the comic, and it brings you to a variety of things. Some things will be, it brings you to original music, like the one that you heard.
Wow. Okay.
And it's all related to the story. If you looked up the songs and looked up the lyrics, they kind of further expand on different things. So there's clues hidden in there. There's also private videos we've hidden up on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's kind of the I guess the form. To answer Sharif's question about narco noir, I'll kind of build on narco noir is one of the terms we use to describe it. The other one is it's a socially disruptive true crime story. So that kind of gives a little bit more of I guess fills in the gaps a little bit about what the story is about and what we're trying to do with it. Narco noir. I mean, it's not something. Look, this comic is new, but a lot of the things that relate to the story are things that we've been working on, going back over a decade. And we didn't want all the things we did over the years to, in a way, go to waste. So we thought this interactive thing that can bring you back. I mean, it's going to be mind-blowing for people to go and look at YouTube videos that were uploaded in 2012. And somehow it ties back to what's happening, which adds another dimension that, how much of this is fiction, or is it fiction?
And how do you guys come about making this interactive with the QR codes? How did that come about?
Well, how it began was that originally I wanted to do this. It began as a book, and then I thought, let's make it a film. We were doing a lot of, short films a few years ago, but as we started developing this short film, we realized it's way too expensive. The budget was something ludicrous in the tens of thousands of dollars. And on top of that, there were certain locations we needed where there was no way we were going to get permission to shoot in.
We just started to because we knew this was a story that we had to tell, and we kept working through sort of sort of a book or film, and when we finally came across the comic medium, it just kind of all the pieces just fell into place, because finally it was a medium that wasn't just that we were now able to actually create it, but because the subject matter is, as you can tell from the trailer, it's exploring some pretty sort of darker very real themes, that I think being able to read something in the comic medium allows you to, it inherently detaches you from the events, and you can kind of see it as this objective observer from the outside, which is a bit different, I think, when you're watching a live action film like Trainspotting, where the images that are occurring in front of your face is very confronting, and I think that's something that's a benefit of the comic medium as well.
Yeah, cool, man. I love the idea of the QR codes. That is such a good touch, man. And that's actually like legit a real answer. That's actually more attractive for me, because people are really into when it comes to Kickstarters, these stretch goals, and not to sound negative, because I've got to choose my words carefully here, but I find with a lot of the Kickstarters that I get into, a lot of the stretch goals I'm not really into. Like, I don't really necessarily care about a bookmark or a sticker or something like that. So to have this already included in the book, that's quite appealing, that you're getting more than just a comic book. That's really, really cool. You've got some other things to show here, so let's take a look at that as well. So talk us through what's this? This is obviously a page from the book.
This is page 1 of the book, and I mean, we felt the words, the dialogue was so poignant that that was pretty much essentially what we put into the trailer. And this page was just sort of these words were actually first originally written by Josh in that sort of prototype book that we spoke of. And I remember when it came to crafting this page, I said, there's no better intro to use than these words just sum it up. So this is basically, I think the image is very loaded. The words only sort of pertain to the image that you're seeing, but I feel like it's a page you could actually open up to, really sort of, be moved in your seat a little bit. And then you can always go back to page 1 and start to see, because the significance of this page will become even clearer in later issues, but already as an entrance into it, I think it's quite a significant page. There's a lot of things sort of hidden in it.
So who's the writers? Both of you?
Yes. Josh is the original ideas guy. He's sort of like, I used to describe him as the wellspring of ideas, but he's really more like a hot gazer of just, steam that's just blowing out, and it's a bit dangerous, and
Sometimes you get burned.
sometimes you get burned, but I kind of step in as the guy who sees this as a great source of energy and potential. So I'll come in and I'll harness that energy and turn it into something sort of accessible and more structured into a story. And that's kind of how we've been working together creatively since 2017. So I think
I love that this shot is probably literally around the corner from me. That is awesome. Just
right.
Yeah, I am not far at all. That is, who's the artist?
Our artist is none other than the amazing Ben Sullivan.
Hey, that's right.
Melbourne local. He has just been amazing throughout the whole process. He was so, he began interested, and then that interest started to grow into this, really deep fascination into the wider story, and even as what we're trying to achieve with issue 1. Ben, amazing. You can see his work here, like his detail. I love his scratchy, gritty ink style,
Yeah, man. This is really, really cool.
How did you sell it to him? Or what was your pitch?
The very first thing, because I remember when I was talking to Josh before, we just had an idea to make it into a comic, and he said, go find an amazing artist. And I was like, all right, cool, great task. So I came across Ben, actually great plug, I came across Ben's profile on the Comx talent directory, and I just shot him a message saying, hey, look, we've got this concept, the gritty crime drama, I guess, and I'd love to have a word, have to chat with you and talk it over. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. And what was really awesome was, I was kind of nervous because I'm like, we were really new kids on the block, and Ben's this guy who's been working for the past like 6-7 years. And I was thinking, okay, look, I'm giving myself half an hour to sell him the idea, but really I got to get his attention in 5 minutes. And that day I met him for lunch. We ended up spending like almost like 3 to 4 hours just at this cafe talking about issue 1 and the wider concept, and that was what began. I think we got Ben hooked on Gods Among Men.
I want to see now if this works, what I'm trying to do, which is, give me 1 sec here, because I found this really funny today.
Oh, I
know what this is.
So this is the AussieVerse Facebook page. Go check it out. And if you scroll down here.
Okay, so we're here today to talk a little bit about our creative process at Cynation Comics for our debut comic Gods Among Men. That's the original artwork of the front cover. So at the start, when we began and before we had the amazing Ben Sullivan work together with us, I had Aaron to help me sketch out the ideas in my head. And Aaron, would you like to show us the sketch that you've done?
Absolutely. People kept asking me, Aaron, you've been sketching. Why don't you do the art?
Guess what? This is what I came up with.
It's good. There's a lot of good things about it. I had a go.
Yeah.
And I did this. So, yeah, just
Art is subjective. All right.
Yeah, maybe don't put your age up.
It looks like one of those. You've only got 5 minutes to draw this, and then you've got 2 hours to draw this.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I spent days on that. Yeah. That was days work.
If what was on your pad was successfully communicated to Ben, top notch.
Look, I want to say that it wasn't integral, but it was involved in communicating some of the ideas to Ben.
I think one thing that really got Ben interested was that we told Ben straight up that we know how this entire story. I don't know how many issues it is. It could be 50, it could be 100, but we know how the whole thing goes from start to finish. And I think Ben found that very fascinating. You know, that there's this fully formed thing, which is such a insanely ambitious project. And we said, let's just start it. Let's just get issue 1. We're never going to have a problem of not knowing what to draw next for the next issue because we know the whole story. But, if you want to get on board with us and take on this mammoth task of finishing it. And that really got him excited.
And apart from the Kickstarter, this is being done by Comx. Is that correct?
Yes, Comx is our publisher. We've been working very closely with Shane, aka Sizz, Mr. Sizzle Dog. He's been a real big help, sort of helping guide us through what is required to get everything ready with the Kickstarter. And he also put us in touch with you guys, so that's been awesome, a really big help. Shout out to Mr. Sizz.
Which just goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, that every week that I'm sitting here talking about Comx, how it's a good Australian hub to be able to provide all the information to Australian comic book creators and writers and blah, 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 where you can go buy comics and it doesn't matter how many comics you buy, it's one flat shipping rate. All of that is one thing. But this is a completely other thing where they're actually helping Australian people out there getting their Kickstarters up and running, and that's really awesome. And if you're not sure who Comx are, I'll show you this little quick thing and we'll be right back.
This show is sponsored by the Comx Shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.
And we do hope you enjoy the show. So, what is coming up next after Gods Among Us? Have you thought about the next thing? Is it going to be something completely different, or is it going to be an issue 2? What's the go?
There's actually 2 things going on. So there is actually something that began before Gods Among Men. It's just that not a lot of people know about it. Because, so I play in a band together with my wife. The band's called Anna.
Ooh.
And when we needed something to sell at shows, we needed merch. Aaron said, hey, we're already developing Gods Among Men. Why don't we make a comic for Anna?
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was, I remember that day, it was quite I just sort of had this thing, I was reading a comic and I was like, oh yeah, like what if we do it? And Josh and Anna were heading out to the shops and he said, he's like, let's think about it. We'll sort of brainstorm it. And then within the next 10, 15 minutes, they came back from the car ride and he was like, I've got it. I said, what do you mean? He said, the whole concept. And I was like, wow. All right. So then we sat down and he was just like, blah, 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 the whole thing. And I was just, writing it down.
Go grab a copy?
Sure, I'll go grab. I'll be right back. And I put pants on too. So that's
Cool. While you're grabbing that, we'll show that if you do want to look up the Kickstarter, please go check out this little tag because that is where you can do it. If you're not quick enough to write that down, it will be in the description link, or at the very least, you can just type in Kickstarter and then in the search bar, Gods Among Men. And if you want to check out their Instagram, this is where you can check it out as well at Cynation Comics. Did I pronounce that correct?
Cynation, but it's
Cynation, okay. Oh, okay. Cynation, okay. And then also Facebook, you can also check them out at Cynation Comics right there. So go check out all their stuff on their socials. All right, show us what you got there, boys.
So this over here is like a prototype. It's the issue 0.
I'm trying to find a way that the light is.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So once again, art by the most lovely and amazing Ben Sullivan. I remember when we were at that sort of point where we needed the comic for Anna, that we said, okay, look, let's put a small pin in Gods Among Men, because if we can get this out, and we really wanted to do something different in that band merchandise scene, because I think a lot of people in band merchandise, they're kind of doing the same thing, and in the past we'd also kind of fallen into that routine of like, all right, everybody's going t-shirts, everyone's going sort of keychains and stubby holders, and we thought, how could we do something that's so different that nobody else would?
Yeah. And what we've got here, it's not a full comic. It's only 6 pages long. But what we did do is that there was a limited 100. Yep, it's limited 150 copies of the first pressing, which I think we've got about 20 left at the moment.
Yes. So we printed 150 in October last year. And we've only been selling them at shows, and every now and then to some, friends, and we'll get in touch who kind of go like, hey man, can you give me a copy? And finally now we're down to the last 20 copies.
19.
Oh, 19, okay. All right. 19.
Yeah. So jumping next, we are going to have to do a second printing of this. It's going to be exactly the same, except it's going to be recolored by our new artist,
New colorist.
new colorist.
So
yeah.
Our colorist on Gods Among Men, his name is Wilson Go. He's worked on a few other. I know he's worked on Max Ferrata's Stellar Lands, and he's worked with SK on some other projects before. Really amazing colorist from the Philippines. And we took him on board our team for Gods Among Men, and so he's going to be coming on board for Anna as well to color the second printing and onwards.
Yeah. And a full issue 1 will be coming soon.
Yeah.
So is Anna issue 0 or Anna in general follows the band?
I guess Anna issue 0, what we wanted to do with it was create this mythology for the band. I guess you might see some parallels with what Kiss Cycle Circus was doing, except in this case we got to actually write the history. And when Josh was coming up with the concept, he's very into manga. So I'll let you carry that forward.
It has I think Aaron described it best when he said, the Anna comic is like a manga but told through the Western art style. And it's very, again, entirely different thing from Gods Among Men, where Gods Among Men is very grounded, gritty, like a 90s kind of film, whereas Anna is incredibly colorful and it's got superpowers and stuff like that.
Superhero, but at the same time, one thing we love about why Josh said he wanted to gear towards manga was that, I love comics. I love reading Western comics. I'm kind of into manga, but there was one thing Josh pointed out to me that I said, this is something I can't floor, which he said his problem with a lot of Western superheroes, like let's say take Spider-Man, for example, is once Spider-Man gets his power set, shoots webs, climbs walls, you ask yourself the question, how does he scale up from there? Does he just shoot more webs and climb walls faster? So if we took our inspiration from something like Naruto, where a character sort of starts off with a base amount of power, and then they start to learn new moves, new abilities, they start to grow, and people will grow at different rates, but instead of sort of being restricted by having your character determine a specific power set, they can learn new moves.
We want, not just character development, but development in terms of their abilities too, that it would grow as the story progressed.
Yeah, sweet, man. I really like that. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, so now let's get into a little bit of personal questions here. You guys are comic book fans?
We're what fans?
Are you comic book fans at all?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Well, you can explain a bit of your
I don't know. I don't think I can call myself a comic book fan. I think there's certain titles that I like. Like for example, I won't say like I'm a Batman fan, but I like The Long Halloween.
Yeah, right. Okay, I get what you mean.
Yeah, so I can't really say like I'm an outright fan of comic books. Even if I do like Spawn, but I don't like everything Spawn's done. There might be a certain series that they've done that I like.
Fair enough. Okay,
Yeah.
so I can't ask you Marvel or DC then.
I'm neither.
I'll probably have to lean DC just because of DC's Vertigo range, because they go dark. Yeah, on average they went darker. Marvel Max has nothing on DC Vertigo, so.
Can I say Shonen Jump?
Fair enough. Sharif, what do you got?
I'm seeing how much issue 1 of Men Among Gods is ready. I'm already looking forward to where you guys are taking it for the next, however long that series is going to be. So just
we plan to keep it running for as long as we can, and that's where I don't know, we'll come back to it, but I thought I'd drop it now, is that our plans really for release on top of the Kickstarter is in April, we're going to be at Supernova. We managed to get Stiz down from Queensland to Melbourne, and we're all going to be at Supernova at the Comx booth, and we're going to debut Gods Among Men there with an exclusive foil cover. And from what I've heard, he told me, he said that the foil cover is going to turn white into silver, and I'm not sure if I included a foil cover, a cover image in that link that I sent you, but it's got a lot of white in it, and it's going to look pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't think you did. Sharif, when are you coming to Melbourne? Is it for Supernova? No, it's not. Okay.
No, it's 2nd and 3rd week of June.
I'll pick you up a foil cover because I'll be getting one.
Yes,
of those.
please.
Yeah.
And the 19th copy as well, or the 20th copy.
Yes, 100%.
Actually, can I drop some like Easter eggs about what's happening with the Kickstarter?
Absolutely.
So look, this whole Kickstarter thing's new to me. Shane had to explain it to Aaron, and Aaron explains it to me. Aaron does a lot more of the communications with Shane because I'm pretty busy with the band at the moment. So Aaron came to me and said, "Look, we need to make tiers." I said, "What's that?" And he went, "Okay, people give X amount of money, and the more money they give, you give them a better reward, basically."
Yeah.
So, and Shane kind of gave us a guide on how many tiers you need, minimum. And I started thinking about it, and we looked, at some different campaigns, how it was done. And one thing, I'm not going to say which campaign, but one thing that I saw that I didn't really like was that I felt some things were they were tiers for the sake of being tiers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of like filler tiers.
Yeah.
And I said, look, if I'm going to do a tier, I want to make it worthwhile, and I don't want any one tier to necessarily be more valuable than another tier in a way. So I looked at it as if I was a fan, and maybe this is bad to say, but like I'm a fan of the comic we've created.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Well, the way I feel about it, it's not an arrogant thing. It's kind of, if I don't like it, how can I expect somebody else to like it? And likewise, I thought, okay, if I'm a fan and I'm buying into these tiers, I want every tier to offer something that the other tiers not. So we've done it in such a way that our lowest tier, what we have are something we're calling collector's cards, where they're the characters in the comic, but they have little notes on them, which make them additional information that you wouldn't get if you didn't have those cards.
Think of them like mini data books.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
And again, on the QR code, we're actually doing one of the tiers is a special hardcover comic.
Oh.
Yeah. And these
now you're talking my language.
Oh, awesome. Nice. Let's tell you what comes in the hardcover. Wait.
The hardcovers are going to be really special. They're all going to have a handwritten foreword from the main character.
Oh, okay.
They're going to have an additional QR code that the regular issues will not have. That goes to another hidden video on YouTube.
I think that video is really quite an interesting. It really puts the story of Gods Among Men into our world.
And on top of that, Ben Sullivan's going to be doing, some individual sketches on every single one.
Like a little remark.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I want to clarify something. What I said earlier about how with the stretch goals, they're not really for me. I'm not really into like getting a sticker or something like. That's just my personal opinion. There are plenty of people out there that love getting the bookmarks and the stickers and whatever things they may be. The only reason why I personally say that is because after getting so many Kickstarters and getting all of these little things that come with them, as cool as they may be, when you have a room full of stuff, there's only so much stuff that you can place these little things around the room. Do you know what I mean? So for me, what attracts me to a Kickstarter is definitely a hardcover. And things that I can put on a shelf, not just small things that I'll lose. But again, that's just me. There might be people out there that have furniture and fridges and stuff where they love putting magnets on. They love putting their stickers on. And that's cool, man. That each to their own, everybody's different, and there is nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
I just want to clarify so people didn't.
That's a good. Yeah. No, it's a good disclaimer, but it's funny, right? Because we're both relatively new to the Kickstarter platform. Like we've talked about a lot of things, but once we started to understand it more, we started to see this format as a way of going. I think the nature of what we can offer people is we're trying to create this sort of world, this sort of multimedia means of engaging with the story. And so that's where even, our plans in the future for things like the pledge rewards and everything, it works in our favor practically because there'll likely be more digital rewards, but they also as a Matrix callback, it brings you, closer into the rabbit hole, ways for you to sort of follow the white rabbit and get to the core of, because it is a true crime story at the end of the day. So we have that benefit of having these Easter eggs in the world, and I guess if we can get more people to get behind and help uncover the mystery together, you can flesh things out sooner than
to be honest though, we also just come up with shit that we want to have.
That's also true. It's cool.
I'm like, full cover, do that, I want one.
Yeah.
So you said it's going to be debuting at Supernova. Does that mean that the Kickstarter itself is going to be coming at the same time or after or before?
So the Kickstarter is going to launch 1 week before Supernova. And the way we're going to approach it is that the Kickstarter is going to have stuff that's Supernova, because Supernova, we're going to come to it with the exclusive foil cover, which likely won't come to Kickstarter unless there's surplus, but then that might come after. So Kickstarter is going to have stuff that you're not going to get at Supernova, which is the appeal that if you come to us at Supernova, it's worth checking out the Kickstarter to get access to things like our collector's cards, things like the hardcover, and we also have original art tiers as well. But then if you are, planning to follow the Kickstarter, you're going to want to get first dibs via Supernova for the foil cover because, I heard it in theory and Josh heard it in theory and we're like, we want one each already. So, that's the idea is that each will feed into each other.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm going to be going to Supernova. I'm going to be getting a fall cover, and then I'm going to be getting that freaking hardcover. I tell you right now, and I'm pretty sure it's doing the same thing.
Amazing.
All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Anything else you want to say? Put you on the spot.
You got any something about GAM? Something about Anna? You want to plug some of the geeks for our Melbourne
Anna? Well, it's going to be a while before Anna comic becomes available to a larger audience. At the moment, it's a live show exclusive thing.
Yeah.
And basically, we're going to continue doing that. So when issue 1 comes out, you can only get issue 1 at a live show. And then when issue 2 comes out, you can only get issue 2 at a live show. But then issue 1 will now go onto the Comx store and onto a digital platform.
Did I get the right Spotify, Anna?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
All right, I'm following that now. I've got it on my phone.
So that look, with the Anna project, like that's really kind of that effort because that was one thing I had this hunch that I said I feel like from what I've observed and talked to people, that there's a really massive crossover, like a Venn diagram of metal fans and comic fans. And I really feel like there's a lot of people in the middle. Yeah, the more we talk to people, the more I've seen it. And so we kind of feel like if we love comic and we love metal and we're doing both, why not give something that, you know, will appeal to everyone? And I think Josh is going to give you a preview.
I'll tease your readers a little bit about, you know, kind of what's going on here.
Oh man, that's really cool.
And
we found a way to incorporate, you know, create these origin stories for the members of the band. And,
I like that.
Yeah, it's the whole. It worked out really well because each member of the band, it's really quite a sort of diverse, like an accidentally diverse looking band. So we said we can give an, you know, seeking out the greatest champions the world has to offer. And they were able, you know, Anna comes in, enters the comic as this interdimensional goddess seeking Earth's greatest champions, and then finds all these different members. So it's quite the experience.
It's starting to sound like the plot of Captain Planet, but I promise
Or
it's
Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Now we're definitely trying to unite that thing of, you know, we want the comic to stand on its own feet. So whether you encounter Anna Band through the comic first or the live show first, it's gonna already be able to stand on its own feet and go, oh snap, this comic is actually a band, or this band has a comic. You know, that's our goal.
What is it? Which one is it? Which one's the real one?
There's no right answer. You know, I think that's our approach. We want both to be strong, and that you can enter at any point and go, I want more.
Oh mate, I see some freaky what's the words I'm trying to say? I'm going blank here. Hang on. The people that follow the bands around, what are they called? Groupies. I'm seeing some freaky groupies coming around after they read all the comics and they come to the concerts.
We have a lovely group of groupies so far. I'm the freakiest groupie.
Well, I want you to let me know where you're playing around Melbourne. Hopefully it's somewhere that I can get to because I'd love to check it out. I'm definitely going to be checking out your music on Spotify. Everybody go check it out, ANA, Anna. And like I said, you want to go to the Kickstarter, this is where it's at. That will be in the description. Or if you don't get all that, go to Kickstarter and type in Gods Among Men. You can also check them out on Instagram here and also on Facebook. All of that will be in the description. Guys, there's one thing I've just got to say about something else that has nothing to do with this show, and that is we were humbly we got picked as the YouTubers of the month for an American Facebook group called OmniBuds Cafe, and it would behoove me if I didn't sit there and at least show the world who these guys are, because we've been loving this group ever since we joined it. Sharif's been in it for a while. I've been in it for a few months. So people, if you are into collected editions, you're into hardcovers and trades and comics in general, I highly recommend going to OmniBuds Cafe, the cafe for omnibuses, graphic novels, comic books and manga, because it is filled with full people. It is filled with heaps of people that are very like-minded like yourself. As you can see here, there are heaps of sales. There is also just information for upcoming books, heaps of artwork that people show off, but it is predominantly all about collected editions. Of course, it is in America, most of it. So if you are buying, you'll have to check what the shipping rate is and the conversion rate. But we know the admins there, and they are absolutely fantastic bunch of people. So go check out the OmniBuds Cafe on Facebook. They also have their own Instagram. Go check them out now. Now, in closing, if we were to turn around to the Mak brothers tonight and say, guys, what is AussieVerse? What would your answer be?
You want to start or should I start?
You go.
Okay, I'll start off. I've heard of AussieVerse before. I've been briefed on it by Mr. Sis, but I want to talk from the heart, from my experience. What AussieVerse? First off, with that intro, AussieVerse is freaking epic. You know, pow, bing bang boom. AussieVerse is welcoming. The fact that none of us have actually met prior to this interview, and yet it's like a couple of blokes, couple of mates just chatting, is awesome. AussieVerse is friendly, AussieVerse is welcoming, but AussieVerse is just like, this has been a really, time's just gone by so quickly, and it's been such a blast to be on this show. And I would highly recommend anybody who just has something to show, has something interesting to say, get in touch with these guys. They're freaking awesome.
Well, okay.
I second that.
Josh.
Lazy.
Sharif, I almost don't want to say they're wrong. That was such a good thing to say.
Perfect answer.
That was a really good answer. But I'm sorry you're wrong, because AussieVerse always and is for life. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with more people next time. Mak Brothers, you ever want to come back on the show, even if it's not to show off your next work, please hit us up. Anna, you want to come on the show to show off your music? We have started a music section. Go check it out on the playlist with our mate Steve. He is a big metalhead, and we want to bring music to AussieVerse. So whether it be for art, for music, for comics, whatever it is, come on to AussieVerse, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Woo! Amazing. Thank you.